Admiral Kane Morrison stood on the bridge of the ship called Defiance and watched the alien fleet appear in space. The ships came out of nowhere like ghosts becoming real. 300 years had passed since these aliens left Earth behind. They had called humans a failed experiment back then. Now they wanted Earth back. Kane had gray hair and tired eyes, but his back was straight. He had been waiting for this day his whole life. Behind him stood Captain Lisa Hayes and Commander Ryan Brooks. They all knew this moment would come. The deep space stations had been watching for months as the alien fleet got closer and closer to Earth. Amy Foster sat at the communication station. Her fingers moved fast across the controls. She was young, but she had trained for years for this exact situation. The main screen in front of them started to glow and then showed the face of an alien creature. The alien looked like a giant lizard that could walk on two legs. His skin was covered in scales that changed colors like oil in sunlight. He had 4 eyes that all looked at Kane with hate and disgust. When he spoke, the computer changed his words into English so the humans could understand. The alien said his name was High Commander Vextal. He told the humans that Earth belonged to his people called the Zephyrians. He said humans were just animals and they had 7 days to leave Earth or his people would kill them all. His voice was cold and mean, like he was talking to insects. Kane stepped forward so the alien could see him better. He was not afraid even though the alien fleet had thousands of ships. Each alien ship was bigger than the largest human ship. But Kane had spent his whole career getting ready for this fight. Kane told the alien his name and that he spoke for all humans on Earth. He said Earth was the human home, and they would never leave it. If the aliens wanted Earth, they would have to fight for it. His voice was calm, but everyone on the bridge could hear the steel in his words. The alien made a sound like broken glass. It was supposed to be laughing. He told Kane that humans were still primitive creatures, who barely knew how to make fire when the aliens last visited Earth. He said his war machines would cover the sky and destroy everything human. Then the alien cut the communication. The screen went dark and the bridge became very quiet. Kane turned around to look at his crew. Even though they were scared, he could see they were ready to fight. The alien fleet was huge, and their technology was hundreds of years more advanced than human technology. But Kane and his people had been preparing for this day. Kane pressed a button and spoke to everyone on his ship. He told them that the aliens who thought they owned Earth had just declared war on humanity. He said the aliens were about to learn something important about humans. Humans never back down from a fight no matter how bad the odds look. Down on Earth, President Helen Carter was meeting with the most important military leaders from every country. They sat in a room deep underground where they would be safe from alien attacks. The reports coming in were scary. The alien fleet was enormous and their weapons were far beyond anything humans had ever built. General Paul Dixon was the head of all the military forces on Earth. He told President Carter that normal human weapons would not work against the aliens. But he said humans had been working on secret projects for many years, things the aliens did not know about. President Carter nodded and told him to start something called Protocol 7. It was time to show the aliens what humans had learned to build in 300 years. All over Earth, hidden buildings started turning on machines that had been waiting in the dark. Dr. Amanda Clark had spent her whole life building weapons that most people thought were impossible. She worked with Dr. Ben Walsh, and together they had created things that would surprise everyone. She watched her computers come to life and told Ben that the aliens thought humans were still the same weak species they had left behind. She said the aliens were about to learn that humans never stay down for long. High above Earth, the first alien attack ships started flying down toward the planet. They were confident that their technology would make them easy winners. High Commander Vextal watched from his biggest ship and was already thinking about how he would tell his emperor about the victory. What the aliens did not know was that humans had spent 300 years getting ready for exactly this moment. Every piece of alien technology that had been left behind on Earth had been studied and improved. Human scientists had taken alien ideas and made them better in ways the aliens had never thought of. The first alien ships came down through the sky like falling stars. Their energy shields glowed bright as they cut through the atmosphere. But they were about to discover something that would shock them. The humans they remembered were gone. In their place was something new and dangerous. Kane Morrison watched the alien ships approach and felt a cold satisfaction. For 3 centuries, humans had been the students. They had learned everything they could from the scraps the aliens had left behind. They had improved on every idea and built things the aliens thought were impossible. But now school was over. It was time for the aliens to learn what happens when you threaten humanity's home. The war for Earth was about to begin, and the aliens had no idea what they were really fighting against. They thought they were conquering primitive animals. Instead, they were about to face the most adaptable and dangerous species in the galaxy. The stage was set for a battle that would change everything. The aliens had superior numbers and advanced technology, but humans had something more important. They had 300 years of anger, preparation, and the absolute refusal to give up their home without the fight of their lives. Kane smiled grimly as he watched the alien ships approach. They were about to learn their first lesson about humanity. Humans do not go quietly into the night. They fight back with everything they have, and they never ever surrender. The first alien attack ship screamed through Earth's sky like burning meteors. Their energy shields made them glow as they fell toward the planet. Captain Jake Miller sat in his fighter ship called a Stinger and led the human response from a space station above Earth. Jake spoke into his radio to the other human pilots flying with him. He told them to remember their training, and that the aliens thought humans were still throwing rocks and sticks. He said it was time to show the aliens how wrong they were about that. Emma Stone flew her fighter next to Jake's ship. She locked her weapons onto the lead alien fighter. Her ship carried something called quantum torpedoes that the aliens had never seen before. She told Jake that her weapons were ready to fire. The aliens shot first. Their plasma guns lit up space with bright colors and deadly energy. But something unexpected happened that shocked the alien pilots. The human ships did not just explode like the aliens thought they would. The humans had built special shields that could absorb the alien weapons and turn the energy away from their ships. Jake waited until the perfect moment, and then shouted for his pilots to attack. The human fighters fired their quantum torpedoes. These were weapons that had only existed in theory books when the aliens last visited Earth. Now they were real, and they tore through alien shields like paper. The lead alien squadron vanished in brilliant explosions before they could even understand what had hit them. High Commander Vextel watched his computer screen from his flagship and could not believe what he was seeing. His ships were being destroyed by weapons that should not exist. He asked his tactical officer how this was possible. Sub-Commander Crick studied the battle data with growing fear. He told Vextal that the humans had taken alien technology and somehow made it better. The human weapons were 30% more powerful than the alien ones. Down on Earth's surface, an even bigger surprise was waiting for the aliens. Colonel Sam Peterson commanded Earth's defense from a bunker deep under the Rocky Mountains. When alien ground ships landed in major cities around the world, they expected to fight primitive human armies with simple guns and explosives. Instead, they found something that should have been impossible. The human soldiers were not the same species the aliens remembered. Sergeant Nicole Davis led a squad of enhanced soldiers through the ruins of Chicago, where an alien ship had landed. The aliens wore powered armor and carried plasma rifles. This technology should have made them unbeatable against any human force. Nicole whispered into her radio that she could see 3 alien soldiers 300 meters away. Her enhanced eyes could see their heat signatures through smoke and debris. Her squad moved with speed that looked inhuman. They could jump between buildings and coordinate their attacks with perfect timing. When the aliens opened fire with their plasma weapons, the human soldiers did not hide behind cover like normal people would. Instead, they charged directly at the aliens. Private Alex Cooper had been enhanced with experimental technology that made his reflexes incredibly fast. He moved between the plasma bolts as if they were moving in slow motion. Alex's rifle fired special bullets made from exotic matter that punched through alien armor like it was made of paper. Within just a few minutes, an entire squad of alien soldiers lay dead on the ground. The reports that came back to Vextal painted a picture that made no sense. Human soldiers were moving faster than alien scanners could track them. Human weapons that should not exist were destroying alien equipment. Most disturbing of all, human tactics seemed to predict every move the aliens would make. Dr. Amanda Clark watched the battle from her command center and smiled slightly. She contacted Admiral Morrison and told him that Phase 1 was complete. The aliens were discovering that humans had spent 300 years studying their technology. Now it was time for Phase 2. All across the planet, massive energy readings started building up. The aliens' own sensors detected something that made their blood run cold. Earth had planetary defense weapons based on alien technology, but built on a scale the aliens had never imagined possible. Captain Tony Williams commanded a defense station on the moon. He aimed humanity's greatest secret weapon at the alien fleet. He announced that the gravitational pulse cannon was charging up. He said they would show the aliens what happened when humans removed the safety limits from alien technology. The first energy pulse reached across space and hit an alien battle cruiser. The massive ship simply folded in on itself like paper being crushed. It was destroyed by its own artificial gravity field that had been amplified beyond all reason. Bextal stared at his tactical display as ship after ship disappeared under the impossible human assault. For the first time in his long military career, he felt something he had never experienced before. He was afraid. His communications officer reported with a shaking voice that they were receiving another transmission from the human admiral. Morrison's face appeared on the screen again, but this time he looked coldly satisfied instead of just determined. Morrison told Vextal that this was lesson number 2 about humans. Humans do not just survive when attacked. They adapt to new situations. They learn from everything they encounter, and they improve on everything they find. Morrison asked Vextal what his next move would be. The alien commander realized that everything he thought he knew about this war was wrong. The humans were not the primitive creatures his people remembered. They had become something far more dangerous. They had taken 300 years of abandonment and turned it into 300 years of preparation. The human pilots were outflying alien veterans who had centuries of experience. The human soldiers were moving and fighting in ways that defied alien understanding of biology. The human weapons were more advanced than anything in the alien arsenal. Most terrifying of all, the humans seemed to know exactly what the aliens would do before they did it. Every alien tactic had been studied and countered. Every alien weakness had been identified and exploited. Vextal began to understand that his mighty fleet had not come to reclaim a primitive world. They had attacked the home of a species that had spent 3 centuries becoming the most dangerous enemy they could possibly face. The humans had turned their abandonment into strength and their primitiveness into cunning. The war was far from over, but already Vextal could see that his forces were not fighting animals or primitives. They were fighting humans, and humans, he was beginning to learn, were something entirely different from what the Zephyrian Empire had expected. High Commander Vextal called an emergency meeting aboard his flagship. The most experienced alien commanders in the fleet sat around the table in shocked silence as the damage reports kept coming in. These were veterans who had conquered dozens of worlds, but they had never seen anything like this. Sub-Commander Crix read the casualty numbers with a trembling voice. In just 6 hours of fighting, the aliens had lost 47 ships and over 3,000 ground troops. The humans were using tactics and weapons that should not exist according to all alien databases. Fleet Admiral Nexara studied the battle reports with growing fear. The human weapons were clearly based on alien technology, but the changes they had made were beyond alien understanding. Somehow the humans had eliminated the power, limits that prevented aliens from making their weapons bigger and stronger. What the aliens did not understand was that humans had something their organized society lacked. Human scientists like Dr. Amanda Clark loved to break rules and explore impossible ideas. While alien research followed strict rules and procedures, humans thrived on creative chaos. Dr. Clark explained to Admiral Morrison during a brief pause in the fighting that the gravitational pulse cannons had actually been discovered by accident. They were trying to build better shield generators when Dr. Walsh accidentally reversed some equations. Instead of protecting ships, they created a weapon that could collapse matter at the smallest level. On the ground, alien forces were learning that 300 years of human warfare had created soldiers unlike anything they had ever fought. Staff Sergeant Chris Jones led his enhanced team through the destroyed city of Miami where aliens had built a forward base. Chris told his team through their mental communication link to remember that aliens thought in rigid formations. Their way of fighting had not changed in 1,000 years. He said they were going to show the aliens what happened when humans got creative with warfare. Corporal Diana Ross had cybernetic implants that would have seemed like magic to humans just a century before. She climbed up the side of a building like a spider. From the top she could see the alien camp below arranged in perfect, geometric patterns that showed their obsession with order and hierarchy. Diana reported through the neural link that she counted 30 enemy soldiers arranged in standard alien defensive formation. They had energy barriers protecting the main approaches, but they had not considered that humans might attack from above, below, and through dimensions they had never thought about. What happened next was a display of human tactical innovation that left the alien defenders completely confused. Jones's team attacked from storm drains, dropped from aircraft using stealth technology, and even walked through solid walls using experimental quantum tunneling devices. Private Kevin Clark materialized inside the alien command post using a prototype teleportation device. Before the aliens could react, he had disabled their communications and uploaded a virus that turned their own automated defenses against them. In space, Captain Jake Miller was discovering that human pilots had advantages that went beyond just better technology. The alien fighters were advanced, but they were flown by beings who had never needed to develop the split-second survival instincts that came from centuries of aerial warfare in Earth's chaotic skies. Jake reported to his squadron that the aliens flew like they were in a parade. Perfect formations, textbook maneuvers, no improvisation whatsoever. He said it was like fighting robots instead of thinking beings. Emma Stone danced her fighter through deadly crossfire of plasma bolts and could not help but smile. She said it must be nice to live in a galaxy where everyone followed the rules. Too bad for the aliens that humans never learned to stay inside the lines. The real turning point came when Dr. Ben Walsh made a discovery in his laboratory that would change everything. He was analyzing captured alien equipment when he found something extraordinary that shocked him. Walsh contacted Admiral Morrison through encrypted transmission with urgent news. The alien technology was not just similar to what they had left behind 3 centuries ago. It was exactly identical. The aliens had not innovated or improved anything at all. They were still using the same weapons, the same shields, the same everything. Morrison's eyes went wide as he understood what this meant. He asked Walsh if he was saying that in 300 years the aliens had not improved their technology even slightly. Walsh confirmed that this was exactly what he was saying. While humans had been innovating, adapting, and improving everything they could find, the aliens had been completely stagnant. Their society appeared to discourage innovation in favor of maintaining established systems that never changed. As this intelligence reached human forces across the globe, a new confidence began to spread through the ranks. They were not just fighting a technologically superior enemy. They were fighting an enemy that had forgotten how to adapt, how to grow, how to change with new circumstances. President Helen Carter addressed the world from her secure bunker. Her words were broadcast to every human on Earth and in space. She told her fellow humans that they had learned something important about their enemy. The aliens possessed advanced technology, but they lacked something far more powerful. They lacked the human capacity for growth, adaptation, and the refusal to accept that anything was impossible. Carter continued by saying that the aliens came to Earth expecting to find the same primitive species they had abandoned 3 centuries ago. Instead, they found humans, and humans were going to show them why you should never underestimate what people can accomplish when their backs are against the wall. The alien fleet that had seemed so overwhelming just hours before was now beginning to look vulnerable. Their weapons were powerful but predictable. Their tactics were sophisticated but rigid. Their technology was advanced but stagnant. Humans, on the other hand, were constantly evolving their approach to the battle. Every engagement taught them something new. Every captured piece of alien equipment became the foundation for something better. Every alien tactic was studied, understood, and countered within hours. The war was entering a new phase where the fundamental differences between the two species would determine the outcome. The aliens represented order, hierarchy, and unchanging tradition. Humans represented chaos, adaptation, and the relentless drive to become something more than they had been before. Vextal reviewed the day's reports and realized that his fleet was not just losing battles. They were being systematically outthought, outfought, and outmaneuvered by a species that refused to fight according to any known rules. The humans were rewriting warfare itself as the battle progressed. For the first time since the invasion began, Vextal wondered if the mighty Zephyrian Empire had made a terrible mistake in returning to Earth. The war entered its second day with news that sent shockwaves through the alien command. Intelligence reports from their ground forces painted a picture that made no sense according to everything. They knew about warfare and civilization. Battle, Commander Zexon reported, from the surface with confusion in his voice. The humans seemed to be evolving their fighting methods in real time. Yesterday they had attacked alien positions using normal assault patterns. Today they were using strategies that were not in any alien tactical database. Vextal read the reports with growing alarm. In just 24 hours, human forces had adapted to every alien countermeasure, developed new weapon systems, and somehow managed to captured alien technology against its creators with improvements that should have been impossible to make so quickly. Colonel Sam Peterson represented this human adaptability perfectly as he coordinated Earth's defense from his command bunker. Around him, screens showed real-time feeds from battlefields across the globe. With each passing hour, the tide of war shifted further in humanity's favor. Major Lisa Kim, his communications officer, announced that they were receiving reports from all sectors. The aliens were starting to retreat from their forward positions. They seemed confused and frightened by human tactics that made no sense to their rigid military thinking. What the aliens could not understand was that human military doctrine was built on the principle of controlled chaos. While alien forces relied on strict command structures and predetermined battle plans, humans thrived on improvisation and individual soldiers making split-second decisions. Sergeant First Class Bobby Martinez demonstrated this perfectly as he led his squad through the alien-occupied city of Los Angeles. When normal approaches failed, Martinez did something that would have been unthinkable in alien military culture. He threw out the official rulebook completely. Martinez announced to his team that they were going to do something completely insane, which meant the aliens would never see it coming. His soldiers trusted him completely, even though his plan sounded crazy. Private Rachel Green, her enhanced reflexes allowing her to process information at superhuman speeds, grinned through her helmet visor. She told Martinez she was listening and ready for whatever wild idea he had. Martinez told his squad they were going to surrender to the aliens. The plan that followed was typically human in its bold simplicity. His squad would allow themselves to be captured, but their surrender was actually a trick. Hidden among the seemingly defeated human soldiers were specialists carrying experimental weapons that could only be activated from inside alien detention facilities. When Private Tyler Brooks activated his molecular disruptor, it did not just free the human prisoners, it turned the entire alien command post into a crater that could be seen from space. The aliens never suspected that human soldiers would use capture as a weapon delivery system. In space, Admiral Morrison was using a strategy that took advantage of humanity's greatest weapon, which was unpredictability. Instead of fighting the massive alien fleet in direct combat, human forces were using hit-and-run tactics that kept the aliens constantly worried and off balance. Commander Ryan Brooks, now captain of the newly built ship called Retribution, led this approach as he guided a squadron of stealth fighters through the alien formation. He told his pilots that they were not trying to destroy the entire alien fleet. They were trying to make the aliens paranoid and afraid. The psychological warfare was devastating to alien morale. Alien ships found themselves under attack from directions that should have been impossible, by weapons that appeared and disappeared without warning. Human fighters using experimental cloaking technology would appear just long enough to fire, then vanish again before the aliens could respond. Captain Sandra Williams commanded the experimental stealth destroyer called Ghost. Her ship was equipped with technology that bent light and gravity around its hull, making it invisible to alien sensors. She had become the stuff of alien nightmares. Williams ordered her weapons officer, Lieutenant Carl Johnson, to target the command ship's sensor array. She said they would see how well the aliens could fight when they could not trust their own instruments. The quantum torpedoes struck with surgical precision, leaving the alien flagship effectively blind while keeping it structurally intact. It was a message that humans could destroy them whenever they chose, but preferred to let them live with the knowledge of their complete vulnerability. Dr. Amanda Clark achieved her greatest triumph when her team successfully reverse-engineered not just alien weapons, but their manufacturing systems as well. Within hours, human factories that had been producing normal weapons were making plasma rifles and energy shields that were better than the originals. In every way, Dr. Clark explained to President Carter during a secure video conference that the beautiful irony was that alien technology was actually quite primitive once you understood the basic principles. The aliens had been using the same designs for thousands of years without any attempt at improvement. Carter asked how such a thing was possible for an advanced civilization. Clark replied that alien society valued stability over innovation. They had achieved what they considered technological perfection, so they saw no need to change anything. Humans, on the other hand, were never satisfied with good enough. This difference in thinking was about to prove decisive. As the second day of fighting ended, human forces had not only stopped the alien advance but had begun pushing back aggressively. Alien occupation forces found themselves surrounded and cut off from support, while their fleet in orbit faced an increasingly aggressive human space force. Vextal reviewed the day's losses and made a decision that would have been unthinkable just 2 days earlier. He ordered his communications officer to send a message to the human admiral requesting a meeting to discuss terms. When Morrison's face appeared on the alien command screen, Vextal was struck by something he had not noticed before. The human showed no fear or desperation, despite being vastly outnumbered at the start of the conflict. Instead, there was a quiet confidence that spoke of absolute certainty and ultimate victory. Morrison asked politely what the alien commander wished to discuss. Vextal admitted reluctantly that human forces were fighting with unexpected effectiveness. Perhaps they could reach some kind of agreement or compromise. Morrison's smile was cold as winter ice. He told Vextal that the time for agreements was before the aliens had threatened humanity's home. Now the aliens were about to learn Lesson 3 about humans. Humans do not just fight to win battles. They fight to make sure their enemies never threaten them again. The transmission ended, leaving Vextal staring at a blank screen and considering the possibility that the Zephyrian Empire had made a catastrophic mistake in returning to Earth. The third day of the conflict began with an event that would be remembered throughout the galaxy for thousands of years to come. As dawn broke over Earth's battle-scarred surface, humanity revealed the full extent of what 3 centuries of preparation had accomplished. High Commander Vextal received the first reports with disbelief that quickly turned to absolute horror. Human forces were not just defending their planet anymore. They were systematically dismantling the Zephyrian war machine with a precision that spoke of long-term planning and an understanding of alien psychology that should have been impossible. Sub-Commander Crix reported with a trembling voice that their ground forces were requesting immediate evacuation from Earth. The humans had deployed something they called adaptive combat algorithms. Alien troops reported that the enemy seemed to know their moves before they made them. What Vextal did not understand was that humanity had spent centuries studying every piece of Zephyrian technology, every tactical manual, every cultural artifact they could find. Dr. Amanda Clark's team had not just reverse-engineered alien weapons. They had reverse-engineered the way aliens thought. Colonel Sam Peterson, now coordinating a global counteroffensive, demonstrated this understanding as he directed forces across multiple continents. He explained to his staff that the Zephyrians thought in layers: outer defense, inner defense, core protection, then retreat to predetermined fallback positions. It was elegant and efficient, but completely predictable once you understood the pattern. Master Sergeant Angela Davis, leading the assault on the alien stronghold in former downtown Detroit, put this knowledge to devastating use. She informed her company commanders that the aliens would abandon the outer perimeter in exactly 47 minutes. Not 46, not 48. Their doctrine required a specific withdrawal sequence that they could not deviate from. When the Zephyrian forces began their withdrawal exactly on schedule, they found human forces already in position at every fallback point. What should have been an organized retreat became a complete rout as alien soldiers found themselves surrounded at every turn. In space, Admiral Morrison was implementing the final phase of humanity's grand strategy. The Zephyrian fleet, designed for overwhelming attacks against technologically inferior enemies, found itself facing an opponent that seemed to grow stronger with each passing hour. Captain Jake Miller, now commanding the experimental carrier called Innovation, led the assault that would break the alien fleet's will to fight. His ship carried something unprecedented in galactic warfare: human-designed fighters equipped with artificial intelligence that learned and adapted from every engagement. Miller ordered the launch of all squadrons and told them to show the aliens what happened when human creativity met unlimited potential. The AI fighters that streamed from Innovation's bays were unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Each fighter learned from the experiences of all the others, creating a collective intelligence that adapted faster than organic minds could follow. Within minutes, they had analyzed and countered every Zephyrian tactic, then developed new strategies that left the alien pilots completely helpless. Lieutenant Colonel Grace Thompson, commanding the AI development program from her position aboard Innovation, watched with satisfaction as her digital offspring outflew pilots with centuries of experience. She reported to Miller that the AI fighters were learning exponentially. Each engagement made them smarter, faster, and more creative. But the true demonstration of human capability came when Dr. Ben Walsh activated his most ambitious project. Deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, a facility that had taken decades to construct began powering up systems that would redefine warfare itself. Walsh reported to President Carter that the planetary defense grid was online and ready to demonstrate why humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy. What followed was a display of power that left the Zephyrian Empire's greatest military minds completely speechless. Earth itself became a weapon as gravitational pulse cannons hidden across the planet's surface reached out into space with precision that defied known physics, not to destroy the alien fleet, but to demonstrate that humanity could do so whenever they chose. Every Zephyrian ship found itself held motionless by gravitational fields that their technology could not break. They were alive and unharmed, but completely helpless. It was a message that spoke louder than any weapon could. Admiral Morrison's final communication to High Commander Vextal carried the weight of absolute and total victory. He told the alien commander that they had come to Earth believing they were reclaiming property from a primitive species. Instead, they had discovered that they had attacked the home of a race that had spent 300 years preparing for their return. Morrison continued by explaining that humans did not just survive alien weapons. They improved them. Humans did not just match alien tactics. They anticipated them. Humans did not just fight back. They won so completely that the thought of threatening them again became unthinkable. Morrison paused to let the words sink into alien minds. He told Vextal that this was Lesson 4 about humans. Humans did not just defend their home. They defended the principle that no one had the right to take it from them. The alien fleet would be released and allowed to return to their empire with a message for their leaders. Morrison explained that humanity was no longer the species the aliens remembered. Humans were something new, something that grew stronger through adversity, something that turned every challenge into an opportunity to become more than they were before. If the Zephyrian Empire valued its continued existence, it would remember this day and choose its future actions very carefully. Vextal, his pride as broken as his fleet's formation, found himself asking the question that would haunt him for the rest of his life. He asked Morrison what humans really were. Morrison's smile carried the weight of human history. Every struggle overcome, every challenge met, every limitation transcended through sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. He told Vextal that humans were the reason the galaxy would learn a new rule. You do not mess with Earth, you do not mess with the human species, and you definitely do not mess with their home. Because humans do not just fight back, they make sure it never happens again. As the Zephyrian fleet limped away from Earth, carrying news of their defeat to an empire that would struggle to believe such a thing was possible, humanity stood unified in the knowledge that they had passed their greatest test. They had faced complete annihilation and emerged not just victorious, but stronger than ever before. And across the galaxy, other species would soon learn the lesson that the Zephyrian Empire would carry forever. You do not mess with humans.